Lila always loved urban exploration. The thrill of uncovering the secrets of abandoned places made her feel alive. When she heard about the old Gallows Manor at the edge of town, she couldn't resist. The house had a dark reputation. It was said that people who stayed there alone would hear whispers calling their name, and none dared enter after sunset. Armed with a flashlight and her camera, Lila arrived at the manor just before dusk. The house was a towering relic of the 1800s, with rotting wooden boards and windows like hollowed-out eyes. As she stepped inside, the smell of damp wood and decay enveloped her. Dust motes danced in the last light of the day, filtering through cracked panes. The front door creaked loudly as Lila pushed it open. Inside, the floor groaned under her weight, and the walls were lined with faded wallpaper peeling in jagged strips. She explored cautiously, taking pictures of the decaying grandeur, ornate chandeliers, a broken piano, and an ancient staircase spiraling into darkness. As night fell, the house grew colder. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of settling wood. Then she heard it, a faint whisper. At first she thought it was the wind, but it grew louder, more distinct. Lila, her name. Her breath caught in her throat. She spun around, shining her flashlight into the empty room. Nothing. She laughed nervously, trying to shake the feeling, but the whispers persisted. Upstairs. Against her better judgment, Lila climbed the stairs, the whispers growing louder with each step. At the top, she found a hallway of closed doors. One door at the end of the hall stood ajar, a flickering light coming from within. She approached cautiously, her heart pounding. The room was a child's nursery, eerily untouched by time. A rocking horse stood in the corner, and a mobile hung above a tiny crib, gently spinning as if moved by unseen hands. "Help me." The voice was clearer now, coming from behind the crib. Lila approached, her flashlight trembling. As she rounded the crib, she froze. A small figure sat on the floor, its back to her. It was a child, no older than 6, wearing a tattered dress. The child's head turned slowly, revealing hollow eyes and a mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. "Stay." Lila stumbled back, tripping over the rocking horse. The whispers erupted into screams, echoing through the house. She scrambled to her feet and bolted for the door, but the hallway seemed endless. Doors slammed shut around her as unseen hands pulled at her clothes and hair. She made it to the stairs, only to see the child standing at the bottom, staring up at her. Its hollow eyes began to weep black tears as it whispered, "You can't leave." Lila darted into a side room and slammed the door behind her. She pressed her back against it, her flashlight flickering. The room was filled with old photographs hanging crookedly on the walls. Each picture showed the same child, but in different periods, sometimes smiling, sometimes screaming, and sometimes holding a knife. The whispers were deafening now, and the door began to splinter under an unseen force. In desperation, Lila turned to the window and hurled herself through the glass, crashing onto the overgrown lawn below. She gasped for air and turned back to the house. The child stood in the broken window, watching her. Its grin widened unnaturally as it raised a hand and waved. Then the whispers stopped, and the house was silent once more. Lila never spoke of what happened that night, but the photos on her camera told the story. Each picture she had taken showed the child, standing in the shadows, watching her, smiling,